Oh, hi folks, hope you're well. Sorry about missing last night, but I wasn't feeling brilliant last night, so hopefully we're okay now. Um, Bit of a curveball for you this evening because I want to talk about something that is pertinent to us all. And, you know, they say get busy living or get busy dying, but I want to talk about a particular point. Um, I'll tell you towards the end of the video how I managed to start thinking like this. But it does bear thinking about, and maybe you can put your own spin on what I say. We all know that we're born, we live, we die. That's quite a straightforward equation, isn't it? And the question I want you to ask yourself is, at what stage in your following your birth, if you like, did you realize that you were alive? Or did you have a consciousness put in you? You know, because when a baby is born, it is hopelessly defenseless. It is absolutely at the mercy of its surroundings, that's for sure. And we are just little pink blobs, aren't we? We're wholly dependent, quite pathetic really, of the way in which we're born into this world. Absolutely helpless. And birth is a great leveller, providing we've got all our marbles and all our faculties, you know, God willing, and you're perfectly normal, whatever that means. We come into this world, and with a bit of luck, we have one of each parent, yes, hanging around to bring us up. But I would defy most people, if not all, quite brutally honest, if we're going to be brutally honest. Most people can't remember when they were between the ages of birth and 3. Not really. They're really not cognizant. They might think they are, but on a daily basis, 3 is pushing it. Maybe certainly 0 to 2 then. Let's just agree to differ. You didn't know what the hell was going on, did you? Honestly, you weren't aware of yourself and where you fitted in. Not really. You might have felt pain, which is a reflex action. You might have heard noise again. We're born with the fear of 2 things, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises, so that's fair enough. But ask yourself this, when did you suddenly start to realise, at what age did you start to learn, and I mean learn, place down memory and not react or initiate something because you chose to do it? And you're probably looking at 3 years plus, aren't you? And on we go. And we go through our lives, us pretty helpless, pathetic creatures at 2 and 3 years old, absorbing what surrounds us in our environment. And it's our environment which, for the most part, will decide the type of character we are. As Dr. Bruce Lipton would say, that it's our environment in which we're brought up will mould us into the human being that we become. And then it becomes irreversible, your type of character. But you can, once you escape the clutches of school, look into my eyes, I tell you, you can then decide what is right and what's wrong. You start to make judgments about the ethics of things, if you have any, or the morals of things. And we learn these things by association, don't we? Yes, again, here we go again with the environment. If you play with dogs, you'll get fleas. And we learn very quickly, hopefully, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Some of us learn from these experiences, and in a nice way. We develop empathy for our fellow creatures that surround us in this world. Some people don't. And these are psychopathics and the sociopaths, of course, and the downright evil people. So we're only told, aren't we, that we're born into this world to live life and, you know, learn and do all this, live life, live life. What does this mean, live life? We've only got other people's word, haven't we, to say that the dimension that we're currently on, you and I, we're living. Who's to say? What defines life? What, you know, this dimension that we're on, and we are on a dimension. What if we're dead? What if we're just passing through, which we seem to be? What's the purpose of us being here? And some of us accumulate this knowledge and become evil. We are becoming just not worth the candle, are we? And this all goes into our subconscious, where, you know, people, some become evil and some become conscientious. They're conscious and they have empathy. And so we're all walking around with this thing in our head, which we call a reciprocal brain, where we put stuff in, and if the brain finds it okay, we keep it. If we don't, we dismiss it. And the psychos and the murderers, etc., politicians, they tend to store things that normal people wouldn't, and they build up this dark closet of a mind, don't they? And normal people who are not psychopaths, sociopaths, control freak bankers, we learn on a different level. What we would throw away into the waste paper bin as totally unacceptable, sacrifice of others, kiddie fiddling, banking careers, this sort of thing, you know, perhaps I'm being a bit flippant. And others would store them and revel in them and keep them and closet them, and, you know. So this life is just about accumulating life choices, isn't it? Does this go into my keep, and I will learn from it and I will benefit and there's benefit for others? Or will I totally dismiss it and say, no way, thank you? And this was what separates the good from the bad on this world, of course. And what we choose to keep and act upon, even. You can consider it and then dismiss it, or you can consider it and use it against the betterment of your fellow humans. But who's to say we're alive? We've only got their word for it, that we're alive, haven't we? Oh, we've got a reference called dead. But we're talking about the mind, not the body. This is just a spacesuit for my mind. So don't get too attached to yours, because you'll be giving it up sooner or later. But what happens then to the mind that you have developed and so far may be polluted or made better? And there's a wonderful gentleman, I'm not being original about this, there's a wonderful gentleman called Jürgen Ziewe, Z-I-E-W-E, Ziewe. And he writes quite a few books about life after death with his experiences as an astral traveller, etc. And I haven't read most of his books, I've dabbled in reading a few, but I listened to some of his videos, and what I say here is nothing new, but it's my take of my grasp of it. But when we do die, we just simply go to another dimension and leave the spacesuit behind, but it doesn't mean we don't take what we learn in this dimension onto the next dimension, does it? Because that would be such a waste, and nature abhors waste. So we go to a new dimension. Now assume that you're okay and you're fine and you're hunky-dory and it's an exciting time, because we love learning new things, and we've already established that we're the nice ones. We're not loonies or psychos. But unfortunately, we all get put in the same bin, this next dimension, as the other ones. And you think, oh my God, I would have thought they would have gone to hell. Well, they are in hell, in their mind. And we are not in hell in our mind. But it doesn't stop us being on the same dimension, does it? But we won't be there too long, because we'll soon recognize that, our job is to continue to accumulate the good stuff and pass it on and share it and learn from this experience and this next dimension, and with a bit of luck we'll be going to the next one. Up we go. But the bad boys and girls, the psychos, we'll be waving them goodbye because they'll be hanging around just that little bit longer. Because they have to unlearn. Our definition, our experience of the heaven or the next dimension we go to will be good. Theirs will be bad. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are both on a separate dimension. It means that their experience will be worse than ours because they've got all these horrible thoughts in their head and they're going to have to answer for them and unlearn them. And yet we don't have to unlearn anything, just simply advance. And when we've reached that, we'll be going to the next dimension, where we become lighter beings. We no longer have to walk around, we can fly around. It's all about enlightening, making you lighter as a spirit. You might get your wings a bit sooner than those you've left behind, who've got to dump the baggage. And maybe their next dimension for them will be that they come back to this dimension as a newborn. So don't write the fact off that you're coming back here. You might be just ready and ripe for the taking, and a little bit more to learn before you ascend to the next level. But the qualification for that, of course, is that you have to give up this level. It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? I can't recall, for example, when I was 1 or 2 years old. I've seen videos or films of me at 2.5, 3 years old, and I look quite happy playing around. But I couldn't tell you what I was thinking at the time. My memory doesn't seem to go back that far. I haven't seemed to etch it. I knew when I heard myself, I had my little things I used to do. If I talked to my elders about what I used to do. But to be honest with you, this is why I have a problem. I can't remember what I was like when I was 2, or when I was 2.5 or 3, or even 4. I was just quite pure in that respect. But sadly, some of the psychopaths you see that we're having to deal with in our lives suffer quite traumatic events that are etched onto their brains from the age of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. It's called prep school. It's called boarding school. It's called having parents who don't want to know the little brat. Take it away. Stick it in school. Away from us, I tell you. Because they didn't receive any love from their parents. They were just simply carrying on the genetic bloodline. That's all their purpose was. And they are worthless to their parents, apart from, of course, a tax investment for the banking cartels. They were given a birth certificate number, which is a tax number, a national insurance number, and off they went. These little tax-paying units off to prep school, age 3, 4, 5, 6, away from the loving hands of their parents who simply couldn't stand the little brats. But that is my idea of hell for them. They've been brought up in hell. My idea of heaven for me, when I was 2 and 3 and 4, was to be with the ones I love and be loved by them, as it should be. And I find the ability to cast your children off at 3, 4, 5, off to a third party to get educated, is quite evil. It's a subhuman thing to do. And it shows that that child is not loved at all. And this is why these people have an inability to love anything. In fact, they positively think the world is evil and they want to thrust it upon. If I've had it, you're going to have it. Why should you have it when I've been deprived since I was born? They have an inability. So even when they die and go to the next dimension with this thing in their head, this evil thing in their head, this thoughts in their subconscious, they have to deep clean their subconscious and start all over again. You and I won't. We're the blessed ones, quite frankly. But that's just my take on this. Check out this guy, and I will give you the name of the title of the film, Life After Death Dimensions and the Preparation for Such a Thing, with Jurgen, Jurgen Ziewe, Ziewe. And that'll get you thinking. So when you're on your new dimension, maybe a second one after this one, and you can float around and fly, just like other spirits of enlightenment. Understand why some of them are still down there, walking around with lead feet, because they've got an awful lot of baggage to dump before they become lighter spirits. That's what they mean by light-hearted. Just your thoughts. Be interesting to know. Take care. Love you all.